Hello YouTube, my name is Ravis and welcome to another goddamn speculation video because you know YouTube and this channel don't have enough of it, and especially of the topic of the video today, which is the Nintendo Direct that hasn't happened yet, because also another thing that the internet has not have enough. People talk about the Direct that didn't happen in January and or February, but still we're right at the beginning of March and it's another month for us to speculate when and how and if we're going to be seeing a Nintendo Direct. And when could it happen? So we're going to segment this video in a little bit of two-parter, and it's a speculation video, or speculation on why it hasn't happened the Direct yet, maybe some conspiracy theories of why Nintendo hasn't had a Direct yet, and then when we can expect the Direct. So first things first, we are right now in the biggest current drought of lack of Directs, or general Nintendo Directs, even counting Direct Minis. We're now on over 170 days without a Direct. At the earliest date would be 170 days, and we are really looking forward to it, not having a Direct basically since September 2019, and we're also going basically into March. We're 19 days away from today, from the final release date, from the final release of Nintendo. Basically, we know that Nintendo is releasing Animal Crossing in March 20th, but after that, we know nothing. We know Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition is coming, but we don't know the date, and that's about it. We know Breath of the Wild's coming and Bayonetta 3 are coming, but we don't even have release years and windows. We can speculate on 2020, 2021, but we don't know it. And we know Smash Ultimate's DLC is coming. We don't have dates for it. We don't even have characters announced. We know we have 2 expansions for Sword and Shield. We know a month, a speculated or expected a month for the month of June, but you never know. It could be delayed. We legit don't know again. So what can we expect? When can we expect the Direct? Or actually, let's talk about why we haven't had a Direct yet. Well, first things first. Even though we haven't had a Direct in 6 months, we have been getting a lot of information, although people will say Nintendo is radio silent, which they really aren't. For example, since the Direct in September, we've had the Ring Fit Adventure announcement and then released in announcement in October. We then had the Super Smash Bros. Presentation in November, an Indies World event in December, or Indies World. Then, also in December, an appearance, although small appearance, at the Game Awards with No More Heroes 3 and Bravely Default 2. In January, we had the Pokemon Direct with the announcement of the expansion passes for Sword and Shield and Mr. Dungeon. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate final character presentation for Volume 1 of the Fighters Pass and details of Fighters Pass 2, or Volume 2. And in February, we did have the Animal Crossing Direct. Now, why have we not gotten a general Nintendo Direct? Well, there's a lot of reasonable expectations, or not expectations, reasons we can discuss. Now, obviously, one of them is a major conspiracy theory it's mostly conspiracy theory, a major conspiracy, but it's a conspiracy theory nonetheless. We could attribute this lack of Directs in 2020 to COVID-19, or just aforementioned, or just as it's been just called, the coronavirus. Now, this one seems very, in my mind, unlikely. I don't think COVID-19 would bring in any sense of delays, because Directs are planned months in advance. March, if the Direct was going to happen in January, nobody really talked, although the outbreak was already happening. It wasn't really anything major, and it was basically just in China at the time, as far as I can remember. But my memory is so trash, so you never know when it comes to these types of things. If it's games, I probably will remember far better. So if in January it wouldn't really affect anything. Even in February, maybe it wouldn't have affected much. Directs are again planned months in advance. They're done in a single room by editors, and there's not a lot of contact between people doing it. The one major thing would be changing and editing videos, editing the Direct to be like, oh, this game, like, let's say we have an announcement of a game that's being ported in China, I don't know, and they're like, oh, but wait, the game has to be, we don't know when the game's coming because COVID-19, so it changes from, like, say the game was supposed to have a release date of April, it goes to TBD. So it would be a minor tweak, a minor change a little bit of the audio, change a little, but just change the sentence obviously in audio, change the little graphic that had the release date or the release window, and we're done. We're good. We move on, next stage. So I don't think that would matter. Not only that, there would be games that will not be impacted by COVID-19, that would just be announced or shadow dropped on the eShop. We had some, but not really. Things that would be on the Direct. So it's things, you could say the THQ Nordic announcement, I think they were announcements, but they are not a part of Directs anyway to THQ Nordic. Also another thing, like we need to remember there was games from the Chinese, not the Chinese, the Korean ratings boards, so it would lead us to believe in games coming soon, and I could definitely see the announcements coming in the Direct. If not, then we can start to think of like maybe there was a delayed Direct, but as of right now that seems very, very, very unlikely. Yes, the COVID-19 has been a major thing, but not enough to, I would think, stop Nintendo's months of planning to be delayed from basically from out of nowhere. Not only that, COVID-19 has really been, in my opinion, blown way out of proportion to what it can and actually is doing. Even by government, it's been taken way out of proportion, in my opinion. From my understanding and from everything that I've seen, it's just a goddamn flu that has a bigger, yes, it has a higher catch rate. That's a Pokemon terminology, but it's more transmittable and has a higher deadly rate. But at the same time, unless I've been told wrong, I'm 25. If I drop dead right now, I would be, from coronavirus, from the COVID-19, I would be a part of the under 1% of people that have died from COVID-19 there, because most, and again, if I was told wrong, under 1% of people that have died of it have been under the age of 60. So it's, I feel like a little bit blown over proportion of what it's doing. Yes, it's contaminating a lot of people, but again, it's contaminated a lot of people, but a lot more people have survived than died, and obviously there's the fear-mongering being spread, which, you know, companies need because it makes money to some companies, and other companies don't need, and news outlets especially need, because hey, now they have news to go around and things to center their shows around and get viewerships. That's always been the case with major tragedies. Some people benefit a lot from it, and when it comes to diseases, God knows the companies are making a shit ton of money right now out of fear of the people just being scared because it's been blown way, in my opinion, out of proportion. Is it a big deal? It is a big deal. I don't think it's as a big deal as it's made out to be, but this is not a video about that, it's a video about the Direct. So moving on, if the Direct was delayed, when we would have seen it? Well, we would have seen it in early January, which didn't happen, and early February, which again, didn't happen. But there was one thing I want to talk about. Like, there was the Nintendo leaks, that apparently Nintendo is being very much more strict about it, which they really aren't. Nintendo has been going on now very much more, trying to get leakers, sure, but that's been an industry-wide thing, but also been very much going against is people that get their shit illegally. That's why when Wired made the thing, Nintendo's just going very much right now against leakers. Data miners, not data miners, but like people, hackers and people that have the game and leak, like the F Nintendo guy, which just gave my country a really bad reputation right now. It's still, Nintendo goes mostly against hackers. That's why Sabi says that they got a cease and desist. If you believe Sabi, first things first, if you believe that they got a cease and desist, that means they were hacking, because Nintendo cannot stop journalists. No journalists or leakers have ever been ceased and desist by saying they knew shit, until Sabi, which, come on, everybody's already been speculating that they only got the information from hacking, and when you look at their leaks, you realize it's most likely because they don't give information, they just give names, which, if you're leaking, you would know about it. That's my thing, and a lot of people look at it the same way. It's like, no, if you actually had a source, you'll be telling us how the game's gonna work. For example, another guy that was a leaker, alleged leaker, recently was a guy going by the name of Zippo that leaked 2 Directs in February and leaked Paper Mario and Metroid 5 coming. He was specific about this. If he is to be correct and if he is to be truthful and if we are to believe him, he would be proven himself, let's put it that way. by what he said. He said 2D Metroid's coming this year and traditional Paper Mario is coming this year. Traditional going back to the roots. Now, both of these are vague. Both of these are are basic predictions that most people can do, and the fact that Paper Mario, Nintendo's been going back to a lot of the roots of older franchises, so Paper Mario would be maybe one, and Intelligent Systems, most of the Intelligent Systems did not work on Fire Emblem, so you have that. Then you also have 2D Metroid, which has been teased by Samus Returns ending, the fact Sakamoto said he wasn't done with 2D Metroid and liked to continue working with Mercury's team, so you have that, so both of them are basic, but even in these basic-ass predictions, Zippo proved himself to be much more of an out-there leaker by just actually giving us, like, details. Before GDC or Gamescom, you said Borderlands 3 is coming. That's not a leak, that's a prediction in my mind. Because you're not saying it's going to have this type of thing, it's going to be like two major enemies, like, Dreamcast guy leaked the original trailer for, not leaked in terms of talking about, the original trailer for Sonic, the Sonic movie, and he proven correct. He didn't just say Sonic movie trailer dropping on the 20th. No, he's like, dropping on the 20th, there's this scene of Sonic, there's Gangster's Paradise playing, which who would have predicted that? There's this scene happening and that scene happening, that's a leak. That's much more than, oh, Sonic movie is coming out. That's not a leak, that's a prediction. So yeah, so leaks and predictions not really playing too much a part of this, mostly because, you know, I don't feel like if it was a direct was planned and didn't happen because it was delayed, we would have heard about it from games just coming out and being announced without Nintendo's knowledge. So yeah. But one thing I will say about the Zippo leaks that were now obviously, you know, it's not true. For the 27th, which was another date that people speculated about a Nintendo Direct happening. A lot of people were predicting it wouldn't happen because of PAX. I'll say this, PAX was never a thought in Nintendo's brain because they do events on GDC, they do events on Gamescom, they do events during E3. PAX was not going to matter. The media is there, sure, but there's more people in the media than people that go, and there's more YouTubers to go around than the people that are going into to PAX, so PAX was never going to really matter if Nintendo did the Direct on the 27th or not. What would have mattered was Pokemon and Pokemon Day happening on that day. They didn't end up doing too much of a big deal, but still would have been more important. So when can we expect the Nintendo Direct? So if the Direct is happening in March, I would wager between the 5th and the 12th. I would go as far as to say most likely the 5th, because that puts it one day before the launch of Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. It puts it close enough to Animal Crossing where they can mention it and announce games without putting it too much on top of Animal Crossing. It comes out 2 days after the release, the third anniversary of the Switch, and it gives it more time and breathing room for the idea that, for what Nintendo's made a tradition. Whenever there's GDQ, which, or not GDQ, GDC, although GDC was delayed this year because of the coronavirus and COVID-19, Nintendo probably won't be like, oh, we were going to do this thing, but now because there's no event, we're not going to do it. That's not how Nintendo works. I very much believe that they will still have the event go on no matter what. So I think an Indies World will happen on the week of the 16th to the 22nd. I forget when GDQ was supposed to happen, but I think like the 18th, maybe. Let me just, oh no, if I look GDQ now, it's going to be like, oh, this is the rule, this has been delayed, so I don't know. But it feels like the 5th is the right date. Now, if it doesn't happen on the 5th, the 12th would be the next date. Again, it's not the date that I would choose personally, and I think it's more likely because, again, although it's far enough, it's a week before Animal Crossing, is also could be close enough where there's too much to be talking about. I feel like the 5th is a more likely one. Now, both of these things could be wrong. Now, obviously, Nintendo, if it doesn't happen in March or early March, it could still happen in April. I'm not a part of the camp that believes no Direct until E3 or doesn't believe or believes that Nintendo is done with Directs because that makes sense. Also, can I just say I find it hilarious how Animal Crossing fans, some Animal Crossing fans that I've seen are right now, it's hilarious because they went from being annoyed at Nintendo for doing the Pokemon Direct and the Smash Brothers presentation with how dare they not talk about my Animal Crossing. We need more Animal Crossing. We know nothing about Animal Crossing. To, of course Nintendo's not doing a Direct after the Animal Crossing Direct. Of course Nintendo's not doing a general Nintendo Direct. Why would they want to do a general Nintendo Direct when they have Animal Crossing needing all the hype, despite the fact that Pokemon, Mario, Zelda, Smash Brothers, all of them being announced with other games not only being announced but having release dates. All of these games had it, but Animal Crossing somehow, some way needs it. Nintendo's not going to turn non-fans into fans by being like, we only have Animal Crossing, tough luck. It's like, no. You're not going to make people be like, nah man, I mean, I'm waiting to see what Nintendo games have this year, but hey, I guess there's nothing out there, so I might as well buy Animal Crossing. That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works. And I don't even think that's what Nintendo wants, honestly. I think it's just one of those things that like people want to gravitate towards something. I just think that Nintendo this year decided to be more quiet until March. And not only that, look at this year. Look at 2020, the beginning of a decade. We all thought, here's the thing, this is the funny thing. We all thought that the early part of 2020 was going to be incredible. We all thought, oh dude, first quarter we have Animal Crossing, we have Final Fantasy VII Remake. I think The Last of Us was supposed to come out first half too. I think it was first half. Okay, but yeah, even if it's not first quarter, like immediately after we have Last of Us, we have Cyberpunk 2077. We also going to have like a Direct that's going to showcase most of Nintendo's lineup for 2020. We're going to hear about the PlayStation 5. We're going to hear about the Series X in like full detailed presentations. We're going to see the games for it. And right now it's March 2020, and we are all looking into the horizon, and we only have Animal Crossing, funnily enough, by the end of March. We have had no Nintendo Direct, no presentations for the Xbox or the PlayStation. Cyberpunk has been delayed to September. I think it's still first quarter or first half of the year, but it's not like, I think it was April, The Last of Us Part 2, I could be wrong, but I think it was delayed into June, July, I forget. Final Fantasy VII was going to be in March. Well, it's been delayed. We have Animal Crossing and Doom on the horizon. That's it. There's nothing else basically for the first quarter, in terms of big games. Yes, we have the other games. We do have Mr. Dungeon come out on the 6th. We did have Tokyo Mirage Sessions. We did have all the other games. When you think about like all the things that were lining up at late last year that everybody was talking like, we're going to have the presentations, the Direct, we're going to do a lot of stuff. And then we're going to end the first quarter possibly with no Direct, possibly with nothing about PlayStation 5, possibly without nothing on the Series X. And heck, people have been disappointed with Final Fantasy VII already just because of the fact of, not only is it obviously segmented, which a lot of people funnily enough, are now finding out that this is just Midgard, but also Final Fantasy VII Remake is going to have Summon DLC, and there was another thing that was involving DLC that I heard that was like really weird. So 2020 started off, we were all thinking was going to be great. Right now it's just a confusing mess. But anyway, tell me in the comment sections what do you think has led Nintendo to not have a Nintendo Direct up until now? When do you think the Direct is going to happen? Or are you a crazy person that thinks that we're either A, not going to have the Nintendo Direct until E3, watch us not having a Nintendo Direct until E3, and then I'm proven wrong and I was the crazy person, or an even crazier person thinking that Nintendo is dropping the very successful Direct line of the videos for Twitter announcements and just random YouTube trailers. Because I've seen people do that and say that. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. I've been the Wedge of DS. See you guys next time.